Against the Ropes podcast.
Contra las cuerdas.
Against the Ropes podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. AtR podcast. Gio Garcia here alongside Christian Mosqueda. Back for another episode. Chris, live and direct. We started a little later than usual. We just got done with an interview that we did. We'll announce it in a little bit, and we'll go ahead and play a clip of that during the show, and then you guys can check it out tomorrow. We also got that fresh Arnold Barboza Jr. interview up as well. That one wasn't live. It was pre-recorded, but it's up there now. But yeah, Chris, welcome to the show.
Yeah, again, we had a shocker of a result over the weekend, Gio. One of the biggest names in boxing at 154 gets obliterated. And like you said, we interviewed actually the coach behind the hands of Murtazaliev. And we'll show that in a little bit. But, man, what a shocker, Gio. Not expected, not, like Tim said, not according to script. Everything that could have gone wrong for Tszyu went wrong. And there's a new player at the 154 division, and he is not to be taken lightly. So, man, again, what a week of boxing.
Yeah, so as we mentioned last week, he won that belt, Murtazaliev, by beating Jack Kolsai. I hope I'm saying that right. So he was a defending champion. The odds were disrespecting him. Look, he was coming into the fight at 22-0, 16 KOs. And now he just added to that by defeating Tszyu 3 rounds, Chris. Obviously shocking to us. We picked Tszyu to win. But man, we were wrong. And man, I have a lot to say. I know we exchanged some text messages, but as you said, we just had Murtazaliev's trainer in an interview. We'll go ahead and play some clips of that one. They were super confident, super prepared going into the fight. And yeah, they showed just that. They were able to get to Tszyu early on in the fight. He went down several times, didn't recover. At the end of the day, his corner made the right call. It probably could have been stopped earlier too. But,
Yeah.
We hope Tim is okay. Entertaining guy, good speaker, star in Australia, but that U.S. project, Chris, man, hasn't been good to him.
Yeah, no, again, what happened to Tszyu was again a shocker, Gio. You expect a top fighter to lose, but never like that. When you see those kinds of fights, Gio, you think of fighters way past their prime going up against a new gun, getting destroyed like that. Those are the kinds of fights. So to see a guy like Tszyu who a year ago was like the man at 154, had that close match with Fundora. A lot of people saw him winning that fight, even though it was competitive. You almost felt like this was still an undefeated fighter coming in. This was supposed to be just a stay busy fight, get back to those bigger fights, those bigger names, and man, completely destroyed you. What were your thoughts when you first saw that first knockdown of Tszyu?
Well, Tszyu has been down before,
Yeah.
as Murtazaliev's coach said, but the way that he was hurt, coach even described, hey, he fell right in front of me. His eyes didn't look good. Yeah, man, look, you never want to blame anyone. You never want to make excuses, but of course, you got to think back to that fight against Fundora, right? He went life and death against Fundora, blood all over his face and his eyes. He probably took unnecessary punishment in that fight. I still think he pulled it off, but on paper he lost it. Walked away empty-handed, walked away with a huge gash on his head. Didn't seem like his corner protected him. It could have been a no contest. They could have ran it back, and I think he would have won that fight. But yeah, hindsight. Of course, you're gonna think back to that moment, right? Obviously, there's no talks of rematch in this one at the moment. Team Murtazaliev, they want a unification bout, and we'll see where Timmy goes from here. But yeah, just dismantled. Didn't seem like he ever recovered. He didn't make excuses. He said, "I got caught. This is boxing." Obviously he was frustrated, upset at himself, but yeah, big ups to Murtazaliev. He proved us all wrong.
Yeah. I'm gonna say, Joe, is this one of the sadder, storylines? Again, there was a lot riding on Tszyu. Again, he's got that perfect narrative. A legendary father. He's got a whole country behind him in Australia. Is this one of the biggest shockers? Let me ask, is this the biggest shock to you thus far this year?
I think the way that he lost, yes. I mean, look, he's fighting an undefeated champion, and we obviously picked Tszyu to win last week, but I think this was always going to be a tough fight. I was kind of baited into picking Tszyu by KO just because I needed to catch up a little bit, in that department on our predictions, but my initial thought was decision. I thought he was going to struggle a little bit, maybe confidence wise, trying to get back into it, and then fighting against a champion, but I thought he was going to be able to pull it off. He got caught early and that was it. So, shocker. I think the way that he lost, the way that he got dismantled, it was crazy to see. At the end, he was just done. They needed to stop that fight.
Yeah.
But I think you can't disrespect the champion. I'm sure a lot of people did. And we told coach, hey, look, we were some of those people that you proved wrong. We're not going to sit here and pretend like we were right about this one, but yeah, shocker the way he lost. I wouldn't say shocker that he lost. I'm sure a lot of people will feel the same way because even with his success in boxing, I really like Tszyu. I think he's a very good boxer. But even then, a lot of people don't think so. So I'm sure a lot of people were saying, oh, look, he got exposed again. Oh, we knew he was going to lose. We weren't on that boat. But yeah, just a complete destructive win in favor of Murtazaliev. He has a bright future. He's only 31 years old, Murtazaliev. And then we'll see where Tszyu goes from this, man. He might have to take a quote unquote easy fight, Chris. No fight is easy, but we know what we mean by that. Sorry.
Yeah. And of course, we talked about it in previous podcasts. We've had relatively unknown names going up against recognizable names like the Munguias and the like. What were your thoughts on background Murtazaliev? We know we've heard his name here and there before, but like we said, there hasn't been enough coverage of him. What was your thoughts on him after this performance? 3 rounds only to take out a guy like Tszyu.
Yeah, I'm not the best with names, man. We feel like we watch so many fights that sometimes we don't even remember watching these guys, right? So, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I knew a whole lot about Murtazaliev, relatively unknown to us. Um, but now he's one of the hot names in the division. Look, you got Fundora, you got Crawford, who also have belts. You got Spence still trying to insert his name among those guys. We know he's the big money fighter in that division now. But you would think that Murtazaliev would get a crack at any of those guys, and if he doesn't, then hey, we know he's going to be on that Janibek boat, right? Where Nova wants to fight him because it's a very high risk and not the highest reward. So definitely you got to put his name up there now, especially him dismantling another top guy at 154 pounds. And I like his chances against those names that we mentioned, honestly.
And again, like you said, Gio, do you predict a lot of big names, not calling them out, or a lot of these fights maybe a year in the year's time not getting made because of what you just said? He might be just too dangerous for certain people. Even though he does have the title, he's got that going for him. He is the champion in one of these organizations. Do you still feel like certain guys, if a fight doesn't get made with a bigger name in the next, say, year and a half, do you feel like it's because they feel like he's too dangerous?
Oh, 1000%. Look at what happened when Fundora beat Tszyu on paper. He went straight to talking about Spence and Crawford, which is a smart business move, but it seems like those three right there were trying to create a little mini tournament amongst themselves. The winner gets this guy, the winner of this one gets that guy. That's where the money fights are, it seems like. I'm not sure Murtazaliev will be in that picture. And if any of those guys want to grab another belt, I think Murtazaliev is going to be the last option, honestly.
And again, it's unfortunate because of how destructive, his performance was. I would think if it was a competitive fight, give and take. I mean, some of these guys would be like, I could take him, but craziest, guys like Terrence Crawford, they're watching. They tweeted, they went to their social medias, and he was talking, some of his opinions uh, in terms of Tszyu. But hey, you saw Tszyu, you also saw Murtazaliev. So for me, at least for me personally, the next year and a half, if I don't see a fight being made between these 154 pounders, which Terrence Crawford is a 154 pounder, like full fledged one now. If I don't see that, then it's gonna be a telling for me, as somebody that's backed Terrence Crawford in the past. So we'll see what happens. But I mean, for me personally, I'm excited to see what Bakram has and what fights he makes in the next 6 months to a year.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Crawford. He struggled against Madrimov. A lot of people thought that was a draw. A lot of people thought he lost. So he's not going to be in a hurry to fight a guy like Murtazaliev at this point of his career. He's calling guys not even in his division. He wants the what, Chris?
It's payday.
The payday.
Payday.
He wants a payday. Spence too, it looks like he's trying to cash out, maybe grab a belt in another division and then probably call it a day. Fundora, we know he's trying to cash out. I mean, rightfully so. He's calling the shots right now. He by defeating Tszyu, as I said on paper, he's one of the top dogs in that division, especially with Crawford coming up in weight and Spence coming up in weight. Fundora can easily say, hey, this is my weight division. So I call the shots, right? Yeah, we'll see what's next for Bakram Murtazaliev. As I said before this fight, relatively unknown. Now he's on everyone's radar, and he's an exciting fighter, man. He's destructive. We heard Coach Ramos say, "Hey, man, this guy's so disciplined. These guys work behind the scenes. They don't have all the cameras and flashy lights on them at the moment, but as I said, I like his chances against anyone at 154 pounds."
Yeah, for me, Joe, he's probably the strongest guy at 154. And again, just seeing some tape of him now, great balance, great shot selection when it comes to picking the shots, depending on the opponent. I guess we saw in the interview that Coach Roma said that they studied Tszyu. There was so much tape on Tszyu that it favored them. They were able to capitalize on that left hook, and it's crazy to be told that one of his hands was not 100%. And Coach Roma explains what happened a week prior to this fight. But They went ahead. They believed in his skills. They believed in that left hand, which we saw pay dividends. Landing that left hook and dropping Tim. But man, again, this guy to me is up there with one of the most dangerous guys at 154. He's got the size, he's got the shot selection, he's got the power, he's got a good chin. So if he did that to Tim, man, what is he gonna do to the others?
Yeah, and they're flirting with 160. All right. Coach talked about some of the names at 60. Hey, I like his chances against all those guys too. Obviously, Janibek is the man right now, and Janibek needs bigger tests. It seems like no one wants a part of him, but if they can't get what they want at 154, 160 is definitely an option. Now, before I play clips of that interview, where does Tszyu go now? 24 wins, 2 losses now, 2 losses in a row. Lost to Sebastian Fundora via split decision. He had a few good victories before that. Stopped Tony Harrison. That win against Brian Mendoza via unanimous decision. The one against Tszyu, to me, a good performance considering the circumstances, the cut, going 12. And to me, as I said earlier, I think he pulled it off. He didn't get the nod. It was a split at the end of the day, but that showed us a lot about his heart and his will. Takes this tough loss right here. Incredible loss. Dramatic loss. What's next for Tszyu?
For me, Joe, and you said it earlier, you got to get that confidence back, and that just means stacking wins. Again, that aura of invincibility that he once had, it was, in my opinion, it was kind of still there with the Fundora fight. That just showed that he was a warrior and that he decided to fight on for the fans, to protect that belt. He didn't want no contest. He wanted to finish it on his terms. But that aura of invincibility is gone with this fight. There are people that are clamoring that he should hang him up. I think that's a little too soon to say that he has to retire, but he definitely needs to get back to winning ways. And one of the biggest criticism is his coach, his trainer, his management team that put him in that position for that Fundora fight, and then putting them in a very, very tough fight this come around with this one. So the next decision has to be, a right one, because that team is going to get him, to detract even more than he has already. So get back to winning ways, put 2 wins together, get that confidence back, and then chase greatness again. But right now, as of right now, he just needs to have those mandatory type of fights, those, safe fights where he just gets his confidence back. And that's going to be up to his team.
Big Bro says his corner almost got him seriously hurt. He definitely needs to find a new corner now. Iceman says, holy shite, that was a beatdown. And he's calling for Murtazaliev versus Bud. He also says he has Janibek. Yeah, man, Janibek is going to be tough to beat. Janibek. Southpaw, power puncher. That, man, I want to see him. I want to see him against one of the top guys. I think he beats everyone at 160, Janibek. But that Murtazaliev fight would be great. Jesus says Tim needs an experienced trainer to get better, to improve. So everybody's kind of on the same page, talking about his trainers. Iceman says maybe Tim's dad might be able to help in this. And then JJ says Tszyu should rematch Fundora next if Fundora loses his next fight.
Interesting. What do you think he has to do? What names do you know for sure he should stay away from, and what names should he consider?
Man, fight a guy like Danny Garcia, Chris. He refused to throw punches in his last fight. So, that Virgil Ortiz Jr. fight seems long gone for now. You have to climb his way back for those big money fights. I think the Fundora one, I agree with that. But maybe take a fight or two, in between. Fighting Australia, people are gonna turn out no matter who he fights. But yeah, I would take a fight that's very favorable. Let him bring his confidence back. If he's gonna get someone new in his corner, give him some time to build that chemistry, and then give it another go. I think Tszyu is still gonna be around for a while. He's still young. I believe he's 28 or something. I can look it up right here real quick. But I think he still has a bright future. 29 years old. Tszyu. But yeah, this was a brutal one. This was a brutal one, and I think there are obviously some things he'll have to improve on. I can go ahead and play some of that interview, Chris. I don't know if you have anything else to add before I go into that clip.
Yeah, for me, it's just avoid any bigger punchers for the next year. Again, these fights, we know that you're a warrior. You don't have to prove anything to us, at least for the foreseeable future. Just pick guys that are not going to give you trouble. Get that confidence back. Again, don't get into in fights with rematch it with guys like Murtazaliev. Don't get into fights with guys like Virgil Ortiz, even guys like Sergey Boychuk. Right now, just get back to winning ways. 2 fights, and probably get rid of that corner. Again, something's going on there where the decisions are not being done smartly outside of that square circle.
Yeah, and look, you mentioned Bochuk. He's fighting versus Madrimov soon, right? He's on that undercard. Is it the Surdo undercard? I don't remember, but look, right now 154. There's a lot of dangerous fighters in that division. We mentioned Virgil Ortiz, Boachuk, Mandramov, obviously Crawford, Fedora, even Spence. I don't think Spence is 100%, but I mean he's a name. There's money there. And yeah, it's a hot division. But look, the reality is once Tim gets a few wins under his belt, people are not going to forget about this, but they're going to put it behind him. It's always what happens. We've seen so many fighters come back. So, yeah, I think maybe fight early next year and then take some favorable fights and then give it another go at it, man. Brian Mendoza's still out there. Maybe that rematch. There's some names out there. So, we'll see what's next. Last comment here before I go onto that clip of that interview. Iceman says, "Why would Tim fight another Russian? Don't he know they're built different, especially Beterbiev's little brother?"
Yeah, I was gonna say that. A lot of people have been saying that this guy resembles a mini Beterbiev, so they're not far off. But yeah, man. Again, Coach Romo gives a lot of insight of who his fighter is. Again, there's limited tape on him, and that's why the bookies had it wrong. That's why we had it wrong. But again, that's the beautiful thing about boxing, man. We get surprises like this. There's times where we think we know it all, and we get reminded that there's surprises. So, man, I can't wait to see what this guy brings in the next 6 months.
If I'm a boxer, I'm staying away from people from these 3 countries. All right. Mexico, Japan, and Russia. All right. I don't care if they call me a duck. I'm staying away from those guys, man. So I agree with that comment, Ice. Man, he's talking about Timmy. Saying he should have gone to the hospital right away. But yeah, I mean, a lot of bad calls from that corner, but let's go into the opposite corner, Chris. This man right here, Coach Roma, I'm not even going to attempt to say his last name because I don't want to butcher it. But, this will be coming out soon. Here is a clip of that interview.
When?
I'm not really surprised, but I feel very good actually. Every win feels good.
And I messaged you. I reached out going like, Coach, you want to can we interview you? I didn't expect you to reply, but it just shows like you're very humble. Thank you for taking this interview. I'm sure that your messages are getting flooded. A lot of people now know your name. One of the things that caught my eye from that big fight was that your fighter, was giving you a lot of props. He was saying that he was saying your name. That's something most fighters, even though they give accolades to their coaches, that's something that Murtazaliev has said a lot. We'll get to the fight right now in a second, but what does it feel for a fighter to give you your flowers?
Oh, it's very good, man. It's good to have this mutual respect, and he's a very very nice guy in like real life, and outside the ring, he's a different person, the nicest person. Believes in God, very religious, very nice, never would bad about anybody. So yeah, he's a very nice guy. He gives a lot of respect. There's a lot of mutual respect. So.
And again, this is a huge fight. A lot of people obviously knew who Tszyu was. A lot of experts, a lot of bookies had him 4-1 favorite. I would say maybe only people inside your camp felt like your guy was winning. Huge, huge, huge statement. Again, a shocker across the boxing world. Your fighter knocked down Tszyu four times, I believe, maybe 5, en route to a third round knock TKO. I have to ask, did you expect the fight to be this easy, or did you feel like it was going to be a 9, 10, 11 round fight?
To be honest, I thought it was going to be either very early or right before the championship rounds. But the plan was to go out there and test his power first. So in the first round, what we had the plan is like go out there, give him like an aggressive approach, make him throw some shots and feel his shots. And then when he came to the corner, I asked him specifically, because that was the game plan. I was like, did you feel those shots? How did they feel? He's like, oh, coach, I can take him like nothing, not a problem. As long as I see him, I'll take him. So I'm like, then you know what to do. Stick to the game plan. And that was it. Even if you like, I'm pretty sure in a corner, I had the mic and stuff, everything's being recorded. That was the only thing I asked him, was like, how did those shots feel? And he's like, I can take him all day. It's not a big deal. There's nothing. So that was it, man.
Please speak on Chris. Please speak on the preparation, coach, because as you said, you were confident. A lot of, I'm sure, media members, a lot of other fighters, I'm sure you guys felt disrespected. You guys coming in as a champion, right? A lot of people saw you guys as the underdog, but talk about that preparation. You spoke to us a little bit off air about that, studying Tszyu and getting prepared for this fight.
Yeah, I studied for a while. We had a like about 10-week camp. Even before the camp, they started negotiating, right? So who's going to be fighting us next? So they made him a mandatory without a fight. IBF rules are like you're supposed to fight for the mandatory spot. And no one fought for the mandatory spot. He lost the fight and they made him a mandatory. And they gave us the name, oh, you guys might fight him. And it made my day. I was like, oh, wow, that's nice. So then we did 3 weeks of strength and conditioning and then 7 weeks of boxing, right? So the first 3 weeks of strength and conditioning, I pretty much watched every one of his fights, whatever was available, for as many as times I could, pretty much, until like I know behind my head, and I compare, I take screen recordings, like short screen recordings of what he does, and I don't look at what he does really bad. I only look at the things that he does very, very good, and he does in every fight. That's all I care about to make a game plan, because he might come back fighting us, and the things he did not good, he might not do it again because he worked with his coach and he improved. But if he does something very good and he works in every fight, he's not going to change that. They say, don't fix if it's not broken, right? So he's not going to change that if it's working for him in every fight, and he's going to keep doing it, right? So that's the only thing I study, what he does that works for him so well in every single fight. And then I prepare a game plan how to counter that, right? So that was pretty much it, man. And we worked on it. We had a game plan. It kind of, the week before the fight, the Friday, our kind of plan got kind of messed up because Bakram broke his hand. The pinky knuckle he broke. It was pretty bad, actually. But then, we iced it. We didn't tell anybody. I didn't even tell my whole family, nobody. The manager didn't know, no one knew. Not even the spot.
All right, Chris, and we could cut it off there. We will release the interview tomorrow. It should be up tomorrow morning, but very interesting stuff. He does talk about that serious injury to Murtazaliev's hand. And he talks about exactly who they're gunning for next. So, surprising. Look, it was a very decisive victory. As I said earlier, complete destruction, and with an injured hand.
Yeah, and if you look at the fight, Gio, like the one that caused the most damage was the left hook. That's the one that dropped Tszyu. That's the one that Tszyu didn't recover from. And, Coach does talk about how, he still uses his right because the adrenaline was just kicking in before the fight, during the fight. So he did use it in moments. But yeah, definitely the left hook was the one that was causing the most damage. And man, did it cause damage, man. So again, congratulations to Bakram and to Coach Romo. Again, great people, great win. We talked about how for a lot of people in the mainstream, it seems like they became stars overnight, but they've been doing the work since before, for 10 years, 15 years. And again, it's just when that opportunity comes and they seize it and they made the most of it and they made a statement. It wasn't just a competitive win or a close win or no, he completely destroyed a name like Tszyu. So again, we'll see what happens next. Like you said, I don't think the big names are gonna want to tussle with Murtazaliev because he does seem too dangerous. But he's the champ, and if they want to unify and if they want legacy recognition, they're gonna have to step up. So I see guys like Terrence Crawford maybe avoiding him, but I do see guys like Bohachuk. I see guys like Virgil Ortiz who still have to define their legacy, still have to become, title holders. They're gonna have to step up to a guy like this, and hopefully they make the right moves to get the right people behind where money isn't an issue, so we can get the best fights possible. And I think this is a great time for boxing because of the powers that be that are in place now that we get these kinds of fights. But again, what a shocker of a fight and a new name at 154.
Yeah, and Coach talked about 3 specific things that they worked on that you see in the fight. This is where the knockdowns came. He talks about who they want next. He talks about the weigh-in as well. He talks about leading up to the fight, not being able to spar or nothing like that because of that injury. But great interview. I'm sure we'll have him back soon. Very insightful. We don't get to see or hear about a lot of the things behind the scenes. So as I said, stay tuned. We'll release that tomorrow morning. And yeah, thanks to Coach Roma for checking in with us. And as I said, hopefully we have him again soon.
Yeah, and he's based in SoCal, so I'm sure we could go down, take a little drive to his gym. We'll probably need his help for translation for Bakram, but I'm sure he'll be more than happy to do that for us. Again, man, again, what a statement kind of fight. Even though we picked Tszyu to win, again, this is where boxing proves us wrong. And again, we hope Tszyu comes back strong. We always want to see these guys, give us the best possible fights. And sometimes someone's gonna win and sometimes someone's gonna lose. So this time it was Tszyu that had to lose, but hopefully he learns from this, not just inside the ring but outside the ring, and he's able to make those adjustments. What do you think of somebody in the comments saying that Pop should step up, Gio? I know that you're not a big fan of those kinds of partnerships.
Well, I mean, look, Tszyu is obviously, he was a star when he was a fighter. Probably most well known for stopping Julio Cesar Chavez. Obviously an older Chavez, but I'm not against that. I don't think we've seen too many star fathers, if that makes sense, and son duels. Example Julio Cesar Chavez and his son. Example Tszyu and his son. I'm not sure we've ever really seen that type of duel. We see a lot of the fathers who weren't boxers, but that became trainers, of their sons. So yeah, I mean, we've known that in the past, Costa and Tim haven't had the best relationship. There was a lot of videos of them together leading up to the fight. They seem like they were in great spirits. So I wouldn't discount that. I would actually like to see it. I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, for me, no disrespect to that corner, but the decision making has been horrendous. So I think anything else would be a positive. Again, we know that there's complications with the father-son relationship, so that's something that they would have to navigate. But I think Tszyu needs something different. He needs something fresh, and I'm sure his dad, would probably want to do some changes after that defeat again. Nothing. Again, it was a not taking anything away from Bakram. That was a perfect execution plan, great fight, a coming out party for him and his team and Coach Roma. But Tszyu has to do something different. Again, we don't want to see Tszyu take the road of certain fighters that have been brutally knocked out and they're never the same. So I think he needs a year to let his brain, let his head recover, because if you go back to those matchups, it's like you're getting concussed and your brain will never be the same. So he needs some time to recover, bounce back, and get the better version of Tszyu back at 154 because, again, with Murtazaliev now a big name in the division that people recognize, we have a great stable of talent at 154, and now is the time to pick the best fights.
Yeah, and for those of you wondering who exactly are Tim Tszyu's trainer, I'm not sure if this is up to date. I don't know if he has changed his corner, but I had read about this before. So I'll just go ahead and read this here. Let's see. He's guided by the same coach who trained his father in the Soviet school of boxing, Igor Golubek, Tim's uncle and Costa's brother-in-law. So he's his uncle. However, he's not a Tszyu. So that's currently who is on his corner. I believe it's still the same people. So family, but they're not Tszዩ's. So I think that's why he's sticking with them. I don't know if he will get rid of them, honestly, but maybe adding someone to the team would be great. We see a lot of fathers do that. Virgil Ortiz, senior, an example. So I don't think that would be a bad idea. But yeah, man, crazy win by Bakram Murtazaliev. That interview with his trainer will be up tomorrow morning, so stay tuned to it. Make sure to give that a like, drop your comments and all that stuff, and hopefully we bring you guys more interviews. As I said earlier on the show as well, we had that Arnold Barboza Jr. interview that was pre-recorded. It wasn't live, but it's up there as well. If y'all want to check that out, he talks about his fight versus Jose Ramirez. He talks about the negotiations with Turkey Al Sheikh. Of course, that fight is in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. He talks about Golden Boy, training camp in Big Bear. So a lot of insightful stuff as well, Chris. And staying on that topic of 140 pounds, we have another one coming. We got another one, 140 pounds, one of the hotter divisions, just like 154. Of course, October 26th, Saturday, Manchester, England. Jack Catterall, Regis, Prograis. Jack Catterall coming off that victory against Josh Taylor. That was in Leeds, England. I had the pleasure of being there live in person. So maybe that sways my vote a little bit, Chris. We'll see. But he had a great performance in that one. I think it was a decisive win. And of course, Regis Prograis, if I'm not mistaken, coming off that Devin Haney loss, right? Has he fought since?
I don't think he's fought since then, unless it's been
We'll
like
check it out right now. We'll check it out right
under the radar. But I think Devin's the last fight.
Yeah, so let me go ahead and pull this screen up for you guys. Jack Catterall, 29-1. His lone defeat to Josh Taylor in what people considered a controversial one. That was in 2022. Lost by split and got it back by defeating him in May 25 of this year. As I said, that fight was in Leeds, England. It was a great atmosphere. I recommend it 100% if you guys ever get the chance to travel abroad. Go to a fight, go to a football match, go to an event in England. They know how to do it, man. It was a party, and they're gonna do it again, I'm sure. This time against Regis Prograis, the Rougarou. 29-2, 24 KOs, 35 years old now, representing New Orleans, Louisiana. Shout out to New Orleans. But yeah, he has a tall task ahead of him. Fighting in England now, coming off that loss versus Devin Haney. That was December of 2023. He had a good run before that, Regis, man. He was one of the top dogs there. He also took a loss to Josh Taylor, which was also a close one. That was in London or Greenwich. Well, yeah, that's in the London area. He lost that by majority. So the Rougarou at 35, trying to get that big win against Catterall, man. Which I think this is a close fight, Chris. I think this is a 50-50 fight. We'll get into it. We'll have to give our predictions, but yeah, I think this is a great fight at 140 pounds and a lot of movement there. I mentioned Arnold Barboza Jr. against Jose Ramirez. It seems like Rayo Valenzuela and Pitbull Cruz are going to run it back. Devin Haney is still there, I believe. I don't know if he's busy suing people. Ryan Garcia will be back, I believe, April. So 140 right now, stacked, and I think one of these guys is going to get a big opportunity if they're able to win this fight.
Yeah, again, this is a very competitive fight. I agree as well. I think it's 50-50. Again, I think Jack Catterall has the momentum. He's got that win. Rougarou, he's got that loss. So momentum wise, you have to favor Jack Catterall. It's happening in Jack Catterall's backyard, so you got to favor him in that. You think of the politics, who they want to win. If it's happening in England, most likely they're gonna, any round that's close, they're gonna favor Jack Catterall. So even though it's 50-50, the fact that it's happening over there, all the momentum going in Jack Catterall as well, you gotta favor him slightly. Again, Rougarou could surprise Gio. Again, he's gonna want to bounce back from that, that dominating performance from Devin Haney. Devin Haney, obviously we know that he was a little heavier on fight night, and probably feels a little slighted, and he's a warrior. He wanted to keep the fight going, but he was thoroughly outclassed. That's probably the worst we've seen Rougarou in a minute. Again, I don't think he won a single round, so he's going to want to bounce back, and who better than another guy with a name at 140? But I think it's a tall order. I think he's got everything going against him. You mentioned the age, 35 is no longer a spring chicken. He's on the worst side of 30. So I don't know, man. I think Rougarou might come up short, but again, this is boxing. You could get shocked, but if I had to pick my prediction right now, Gio, I'm gonna beat you to it. I'm gonna say Jack Catterall by decision.
Ooh, man. All right. We're looking at Jack Catterall's resume right there. 31 years old. Man, you know what? I'm gonna go with, even though Iceman is not claiming him anymore, I'm gonna go with the man from New Orleans. I'm gonna go Rougarou, man. And one thing that worries me is he got dropped against Devin Haney. All right, no one gets dropped against Devin Haney, so that is very concerning. All right. However, look, Jack Catterall, not a powerful guy, 13 KOs only and 29 victories. However, he is a good boxer. He's a guy who has a ton of heart. He's gonna come forward. He's gonna make Rougarou work. However, I think I'm gonna side with Rougarou's power. 24 KOs and 29 wins. I think this is his last. Might be his last big fight. And I think he's gonna learn. He took a lot from those losses. I think especially the Josh Taylor one, which was a close one, which was also in the UK. Um, he's no stranger to the pressure, to the bright lights. As I said, when we first started talking about this topic, I think it's a 50-50 fight. But I'm going to give the slight edge to Regis Prograis. He's been letting me down, Chris, in every single pick, I feel like. Every time I pick him, he doesn't look good. So hopefully this one, he can earn me a dub. I need it. And I'm going to go with Regis Prograis. I'm going to say by a decision, which is going to be very, very tough over there.
Do you know who their promoters are? I feel like that will be more telling, and I think the fans will side with the promoter on this one. Do you know who's got who?
It should be Eddie Hearn, right? Let me go ahead. It should say it here. Yeah, it's Eddie Hearn Matchroom.
For both fight. Okay. I was gonna say Catterall's with Queensberry. That's, you already know that's a given. Okay. I guess Eddie Hearn can't lose in this one. So
aren't they both with Eddie?
I think so. I think
they both play with Eddie. So if it's a draw, then the problem is Eddie Hearn. Like if his guys can't get a W fighting each other, it's a problem. Who do you guys have on the live chat, man? Let us know. Iceman says if Regis Prograis beats Cat, we know what the Haney fight was for show. Regis is only there for the payday, says Jesus.
Damn.
Woo.
Yeah, I was gonna say if this fight was in the States, definitely Regis, but I don't know. In the backyard, there's so much politics that can happen. And again, if a fight is close, let's say you say he's going the distance, I'm saying he's going the distance, it's likely going to go to the Brit. But again, we could be wrong. We'll see. Again, on paper, I think Rougarou has more than enough to hurt Catterall and hurt him and drop him and take him out. But if it's a boxing style and Catterall plus a Joseph Parker stays on his A game, doesn't get hurt any along the way, then he can walk away with the decision. So I'm gonna stick with Jack Catterall by decision.
All right, I'm not mad at that, and yeah, I think it's gonna be a close fight. I do think Rougarou can get to Catterall, maybe drop him once or twice. I think he's gonna need to win a decision over there. We know how they do over there, Chris. Man, if you fight in the UK, you're not from there. The referee's gonna be on your ass. You know, you're likely not gonna win those close rounds. You know, of course, the crowd is not gonna be for you, so it's gonna take a lot. But we'll see. Yeah, I think if Rougarou loses this one, then I think that might be it for him at the top level, especially at 35, especially at 140.
Yeah, no, I agree. 35. That's who was fighting. Who was going to fight a year ago at 35? Keith Thurman, and we said he's too old for 35. I think Rougarou is a more fresher 35, but 35 is 35. So again, you're getting close to those 40s. You're getting close to the finish line. How much more can you give? It's not when you're 25, you're taking punches and you're able to withstand. At 35, you're like you got other priorities. So I don't know. This is gonna be a tough one, but this could be his last big hurrah.
Yeah, and you mentioned Keith Thurman. He went back and forth with Tim Tszyu before the fight, and they talked about unfinished business. So, man, you just think about that trajectory, man, of Tim Tszyu. He could have got the big fight against Virgil Ortiz Jr. He could have got the big fight, you know, on paper at least, against Keith Thurman. Instead, he had to take tougher fights, you know, Fundora and then Murtazaliev. Man, that management team, man. We always talk about it, Chris.
Again, there's a lot of things that go behind the scenes, Gio. Again, you mentioned that he's surrounded by his uncles, his a lot of family members, and that's all good and great. But there comes a time where like your own team has to save you from yourself, and maybe them throwing the corner in the third was like the best thing they could have done. But again, they gotta sometimes tell the warrior, you know, like, hey, it's a business as well. Let's not take dangerous fights just yet. But hey, again, Tim is Tim, and he's a fan favorite for a reason. So hopefully he's able to bounce back. Because I agree, I think there's still a lot that he can prove, but he's gonna have to. You know, the next 6 months are pivotal for his career. We'll see what he does and how he refocuses for his next fight.
Chris, are you suggesting that he works with Turkey Al Sheikh?
Who, Tim?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely, man. First of all, we would get the fights the next day already. So as a fan, yes, I would love for him to work with Turkey. But I think there's more benefits to jumping ship and moving over to the promised land over there with Turkey, more money, more exposure and better fights. I think he again, this is the time to build yourself up for those major fights because you came up short in the brightest of lights. So I again, he's the next year is pivotal for Tim Tszyu.
By the way, Bob Arum, I read a headline the other day that he was not happy about Jared Anderson taking that Bakoli fight. He said, man, the Arabs offered him a lot of money. He couldn't say no. We didn't want him to take that fight. He took it anyway and basically said we weren't surprised that the outcome happened how it happened. So you can tell there's a lot of, you know, the people who are not working with Turkey, you can tell they're feeling some type of way. But they're you know, staying on the topic of Turkey Al Sheikh, as I said, we talk about him every single week, but they're flirting with some big cards. I'm hearing February they're saying they're going to put a huge card, the biggest one yet. We'll see what they come up with, but yeah, as of now, I think that November 16th one looks good with Zurdo on the main event at cruiserweight, and then Jose Ramirez, Arnold Barboza Jr. on that one as well. So we still got a lot of good boxing, man, and October is still not over. We still got this fight right here, October 26th, Manchester, England. That's going to be on the zone. Jack Catterall, Regis Prograis. It's going to be a good one. Chris is rocking with Catterall. I'm rocking with Prograis. I'm not sure how confident you are in your pick, but I'm not very confident in mine.
I'm not a hugely confident, but the parts where I'm confident, I'm using logic, man. I'm going with the momentum. I'm going where it's happening. I'm thinking of the what the politics decision would be. I'm trying to think with my logic, but again, boxing's not always logical, right, Gio? So anything can happen.
Anything can happen. And yeah, we're gonna keep this one relatively short. As I said, we had the interview before, we started this live broadcast. So we'll go ahead and release that interview with Bakram Murtazaliev's trainer. It'll be up tomorrow morning. We hope you guys enjoy the show. Chris, I don't know if you have anything else before we get out of here.
No, again, just congratulations to Coach Roma and his fighter, Bakram Murtazaliev. We told him like, hey, we didn't pick him. We were the ones that got, we're just like a lot of the boxing pundits. We were proven wrong, and again, that's the beauty of boxing. Again, we're not going to pretend that we picked your guy. We didn't know too much about him, but we sure do now. So again, congratulations to them, and hope you guys enjoyed that interview. And we'll bring you guys some more. Very nice guy. He promised that he would love to come back, and I told him in the next 6 months, yeah, we'll see what happens. We hope you get the names that you are longing for. We hope we get those big money fights that are well deserved now after that huge win. So yeah, man, tune in for that one, and yeah, man, we can't wait to see what happens in the next 6 months in that 154 division for Murtazaliev and the team.
One more thing I did want to mention, Chris. It was up on your screens right here. One of the topics: Beterbiev versus Bivol purse. The purses. I don't know if you were able to see the numbers.
I didn't see the numbers. What were they?
All right, so this is what I'm reading. This is what I read from different sources. 20 million total split in half, so 10 million, 10 milli, right? And I also read that winner would get a bonus. So I'm not sure if it's a flat fee or if this was just a guarantee, but not a bad number, Chris. You got to be happy for these guys, man.
You gotta be happy, and I like that. That's you split down the middle. Whatever you made, everybody they both make the same. They both bring about the same in terms of what they bring to the table. Obviously, both undefeated champions in their own right, and sometimes in boxing, when it comes to negotiations, there's always like all these little things. Or I'm the A side, you're the B side. I get this. Like there's so many little intricacies and Turkey's more like, hey, it's down the middle. I got the money. Boom, boom. Let's go. Let's get it done. So I love that there's always obviously a winner. So you get a little bonus for that. Whoever won, we're not picking favorites here. It's just whoever wins gets that extra thing. So I like that when it comes to negotiations. And again, money could be one of the biggest issues why we don't get these fights and all these little intricacies. But yeah, man, shout out to Turkey for making that happen. And hey, not a bad payday, man. Even in defeat, you walk away with 10 million people. You gotta be happy with that.
Yes, sir. Jesus asked, how many years of experience does his trainer have? He mentioned that he's been boxing since 4 or 5 years old, has an extensive amateur career. You can find him on BoxRec. So when we release that interview, just go ahead and type in his full name. But yeah, he said he's a humble guy, Chris. He said, man, I don't necessarily want all the attention. We work quietly, and yeah, he doesn't have a large following either. They're just strictly business, right? Strictly business.
I even asked him. I was like, do you have any goals for yourself as a trainer? Do you want to be, up there with the trainer of the years? And he had a humble answer. I'll let you guys check out that video to see his response. But yeah, man, again, if you see his videos, I believe he's got his own boxing YouTube channel. He shows pretty much exactly what was going to happen in the fight. You see the shot selection. You see some funny comments with some of the fans that actually did their little research. So again, shout out to that team and man, a good humble team.
Yes, sir. And that's all we have for today, man. We appreciate you guys for tuning in yet another week. We're at 290 or something like that? Straight heavyweights, Chris. Straight heavyweights.
Pesos completos, though, like Tyson Fury. But no, again, shout out to you guys for dropping, all your comments, your thoughts on this past weekend. It was a shocker indeed. I think it's up there with, for some people, Anthony Joshua Dubois. But yeah, definitely top shocker. for me. You know, you mentioned it, Joe. Not just that he lost, but how he lost. So, yeah, man, can't wait to see what's in store for the next couple of months. You know, it's getting closer, yo. Award season just around the corner, so start thinking of those winners and for our awards, man.
Yeah, that'll be posted, and we'll make sure to put those polls up as well in that community tab. And you know, we got to put the poll up for Catterall against Prograis, Chris, as well. We got a few days until the fight, so I'll go ahead and put that up, and that way you guys can vote. Let us know what you guys think, who you have, and all that. And yeah, once again, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for keeping that chat lit. And we'll be back soon, mates. We'll be back soon.
It's Halloween, man. We got some surprises, man. Maybe some outfits. Let's go.
Spasiba. That's thank you in Russian, Chris. That's thank you in Russian, in case you didn't know. Spasiba.
Spasiba. Let's go. It's Russian season, man. Stay away from the Czechs from Russia's, man. Those guys are dangerous, man. Those guys are tough.
Let's go, mate.
Go.
Hola amigos, soy Prograis. Quiero mandar un saludo para mis amigos de Contra las Cuerdas, que se le muchas ganas, un abrazo, muchas bendiciones.
Shout out to Against the Ropes. You know what mine is? Let's box, bitches. It's almost fight night.
Shout out to Against the Ropes. Thank you for the support. Keep doing your thing. You're doing a great job. So thank you and best wishes.
Huge shout out to Against the Ropes.
Shout out to Against the Ropes. Thank you guys for the interview and hope to see you guys soon.
Against the Ropes, always doing the right thing.
Shout out to Against the Ropes, man. I appreciate you guys for having me, taking the time on y'all day.
Against the Ropes, #1.
Freddie Roach.
Thank you very much.